Good day, all you wonderful people. Welcome to the program Changing the World with me, Lorette Dye. It is a privilege to share this time with you. Today I want to talk to you about you are perfect. How amazing to know that and to have that surety. Now I want to talk to you today about being perfect. I once had a client and she said to me that she believes that she is a Jesus mistake. And that made my heart so sad to hear. And I think maybe you don't say it in that extreme words, but maybe there are people out there that feels the same thing, that feel as if they are not good enough, not perfect. Now her circumstances looked from the outside perfect. She had a husband, she had a house, she had 2 beautiful children, they had a good income, they had a business, and everything from the outside looked perfect. But she felt extremely unhappy and as if her life is falling apart. Her inner world was very overwhelming to her and she felt that she is a failure. And that's what led to these words where she said, I think I am a Jesus mistake. Now I know that that is not true, not for anyone, because God never makes mistakes. God has a perfect will for us and He had a perfect plan for us and He doesn't make mistakes. So if you feel this today, I want to ensure you that you are definitely not a mistake, that you are a perfect decision by God. However, as human beings, we might be a perfect creation because we were created in God's image. But it doesn't mean that we are perfect. And there are 2 things that I want to focus on today to encourage you to love yourself, to embrace who God made you, and to be happy with that and to be happy with who you are. I am excited to share this with you today. And the 2 things are, we are perfect in purpose, and I will explain that soon. And the second thing that I want to talk about is we are perfect through God. How amazing, how encouraging. And both of these things I want to explain in more detail to you. The first thing I want to talk to you about is perfect in purpose. This is a very interesting thing because people believe that they are not perfect. And yes, we are not perfect. That's true. Even although we were created in God's perfect image. But what I've learned is that you are made perfect for a very specific purpose. You see, God already knows why He made you. He knows what His purpose is for your life. And previously we talked about just be you, rest in being you and rest in God, and then your life will be what it was supposed to be. You see, we find our purpose through just being. And that is what a lot of people don't understand. They think they have to be something. They think they have to be something different, something better. Yes, it is true. It is a good thing to try and make good choices. It is the right thing to try and do good and be the best version of yourself. And yes, there are characteristics in us that we sometimes need to work on. We need to look at our strengths and we need to embrace that and build that. And we need to understand our weaknesses and be aware of that. That is all relevant and true. But what I want to focus on and what I want to make you aware of today is that you are perfect and made perfect for a specific purpose. Now, I'm going to explain it to you this way. Let's say you are impulsive. Then yes, many people, they will say that being impulsive is not a good thing. Let's think about that. The reality is that being impulsive could sometimes be to your advantage. The early bird gets the worm. Sometimes if you are quick and you are fast to make decisions, it could be to your advantage. You could not miss an opportunity if you overthink something and you really take your time. That could cause that you miss opportunities and that you, in the process, make mistakes. I knew someone that thought about buying a pair of shoes for 3 months. And what do you think what happens then? When you go back to the shoe shop, those shoes are not available anymore and you have to start over. And in the same way, you could miss out on life's opportunities, on doing things that are the right thing. Another example, I was driving on the highway, this is quite a few years ago, and I was driving very fast and someone was standing next to the road, next to their broken car. And God said to me, stop. And it just happened too quickly and I started to go into my head and think about it. And by the time I realized I should have listened, that moment was gone. It is not possible to turn around on a highway. Times to make a quick decision is the right thing. But yes, being impulsive can also be a negative. Let's look at something different. Let's look at being kind. Now, most people will say that is a good thing. And I agree. I personally decided that even if people are horrible to me, I am not going to return in measure. I am going to stay a kind person, a good person, because for me it is about who I want to be. For me it is about who I want to be in front of God. But in reality, we need to understand that being kind is not always good. If you are kind, you could enable evil. There must also be the aspect of discernment. We must be able to discern between what is the right time and the right people to be kind to. So kindness could be a negative where you can enable evil, or you can allow people to hurt you and to misuse you. It is possible to be kind and also have discernment and know when to draw lines and when to stand up. If you are just always kind, and yes, it seems like a good thing, then it could also have a negative side and negative impact. My point is that yes, you might have moments where you do things and it turns out negative. I always say it is like telling a joke. In the one group, they will laugh at you and they will think that you are very funny. But the same joke in another group will be met with very blank stares, and they will give the message of what is wrong with you. How can you tell a joke like that? So it depends on the circumstances, and that is the same for everything that God has built in you, everything that you are. And that is why I say you should be you. You should embrace everything that God made you to be and be okay with that and rest in that. Because even if there are times that a characteristic that you have works against you and seems like a negative, you are made perfect for the purpose that God has made you.
And therefore, when you do something that make you feel bad about yourself, remember that everything in us, every characteristic, has a negative and a positive side. And we must accept the negative, and we must embrace and be glad about the positive. And understand that even if you think, I am so different, I am so weird, I don't fit in, remember these words. God has made you perfect for the purpose that He has made you for.
We talked about being perfect for purpose, that God made us exactly and made you exactly who you are supposed to be. Now I want to move on to the next point, namely that only through God and in God we can be perfect. Now there are different aspects connected to this, and I'm going to talk over 2 sections about this. First of all, I want to read you a few verses in Hebrews. Let's start with Hebrews 7 verse 11. The people were given the law under the system of priests from the tribe of Levi, but no one could be made spiritually perfect through that system of priests. So there was a need for another priest to come. I mean a priest like Melchizedek, not Aaron. Then Hebrews 7 verse 19. The law of Moses could not make anything perfect, but now a better hope has been given to us, and with that hope we can come near to God. And then Hebrews 9 verse 11. But Christ has already come to be the high priest. He is the high priest of the good things we now have. But Christ does not serve in a place like the tent that those other priests served in. He serves in a better place. Unlike that tent, this one is perfect. It was not made by anyone here on earth. It does not belong to this world. And then verse 14. So surely the blood sacrifice of Christ can do much more. Christ offered Himself through the eternal Spirit as a perfect sacrifice to God. His blood will make us completely clean from the evil we have done. It will give us clear conscience so that we can worship the living God. And finally, Hebrews 10 verse 2. If the law could make people perfect, those sacrifices would have already stopped. They would already be clean from their sins, and they would not still feel guilty. What an amazing word. This tells us that nothing can make us perfect, and in ourselves we can't be perfect. Not even the law and abiding the law. Not even a person like a priest can make us perfect. But Christ, through His perfect sacrifice, made us perfect. And therefore, if we are in Him, we are perfect. How beautiful and how amazing that we can rest in that knowledge, and that we don't need to try harder, and that we don't need to be perfect, but that we can turn to God to cleanse us and to make us perfect.
Second part, to being made perfect through God, is about our side. You see, any time that God makes a promise, He also requires something. And this time it is no different. He says that through Christ's sacrifice we are made perfect in Him. But the requirement is that we need to accept that. We need to come from our side and say, we want you to be our God. We want to accept Christ's sacrifice. We want to choose you as God. We want to turn to you. Once we've said that, that's still not the end. Then we need to live a sacrificial life to God. He should be our everything. He should be the first one you think of in the morning when you wake up. He should be the last one that you think of in the evenings, that you talk to, and you should put your life completely in His hands. Accept His control. Next time we are going to talk about trust, because that is what God is asking from you, to completely trust Him with your life and with everything. Once we do that, God will work in us, and that means that the things that He is not happy with, He will work on it. We don't need to try so hard. We need to trust God to do the work in us. God has already done the work, and He is waiting for you to choose Him and to come to Him. As we get to the end of our time together, I want to leave you with this last verse. Hebrews 10 verse 14. With one sacrifice, Christ made His people perfect forever. They are the ones who are being made holy. You listen to Changing the World with me, Lorette Dye. Remember, don't let the day go by without laughing, dancing, singing, and especially sitting at God's feet. I am, as always, grateful for this time that you spent with me. Be safe and be blessed.